Welcome to Akhand Vidyashram, the first institute of impeccable wisdom. Counter current mechanism, the juxtamedullary nephron. My dharma, the impeccable wisdom, the wisdom of the divine nature. My greatest discovery, Divyank, the divine design of nature, with which the perfect objects are designed and created. Divyank is the reward of 60 years of integrated knowledge. Impeccable wisdom is enlightening. Akhand Vidya wisdom is empowering. We are talking in terms of excretory system pertaining to urinary system. The prime objective of human kidneys is to remove waste and harmful products of the body and eliminate all the things which is unwanted. As a result, we could have perfect homeostasis, integrated health, and be in tune with universal consciousness. And from that angle, one more statement of E. Starling Airport that kidneys are the most intelligent organs, is able to perceive things as things move and take all the remedial actions in that direction. And this particular thing is also in the same dimension. Structurally, as we know very well, there are two kidneys, two ureters, one urinary bladder, and urethra expel waste product out. Structural anatomy of integrated human anatomy is again kidneys are like red bean rajmas in the ratio of 3:5, a Divyank ratio. It's covered by capsule, and inside the capsule you have the outer cortex, which contains almost 75 to 80% of the nephrons for glomerular filtration to purify the blood of all the impurities. And inside you have medullary pyramid, which contains almost 20 to 25% nephrons, which are responsible for counter current mechanism and acidification of urine, are making the urine highly concentrated. Cortical nephrons produce 125 ml of urine or ultrafiltrate per minute, and it is 180 liters per day. But it is only 99% which is reabsorbed, 1% expelled out. How this is done is something which we have already discussed. We will emphasize few things to bring the beauty of divine consciousness of kidneys, that they are most intelligent organ. And having understood the gross structure, macroscopic structure, miniature structure, we have seen the cortical part, the cortical nephrons, as I told you, 75% to 80% are there. Then you have juxtamedullary nephrons, which part starts in the cortical part but end comes into the medulla part. And the difference between the loop of Henle of the cortical nephron and this is that you have peritubular artery and veins, or whatever you may call it, and as a vasa recta between the two loops of Henle, ascending and descending structures. And as far as vasa is concerned, is exactly the opposite of what is happening in loop of Henle. That is that is responsible for most of the changes which we are talking about, and that is what is called counter current mechanism, that you have one tubules, collecting tubules of vasa recta giving in one direction of the urine, and how the urine is reabsorbed into the capillaries or vasa recta to purify and move on. We have spoken about it, but we are going to add one more dimension into this to understand what is specific to this particular component. Since we are talking of urine formation, the glomerular filtration rate is something which I have already explained. It has 4 stages. First is the filtration or ultrafiltrate. Second is reabsorption. Third is secretion. Fourth is excretion. And as ultrafiltrate is concerned, as I told you, 125 ml which is equivalent to 20% of the content which goes to the capillaries, is filtered out from higher concentration to lower concentration with a totally high natural process, a passive process, natural first law of nature. But as you can see in the picture down, you have filtrates right up to 8 microns inside the capillaries. So up to 8 microns can filter out, but further there is a capillary endothelium. There is a gap in between a slit, then you have basement membrane, and then you have food process of podocytes or glomerulus cells, and in between you have slits which are equivalent to 4 micron meters or microns, and up to that size can easily filter out. Anything up to 4 is easily moving out. Even up to 8 it can go automatically, but 4 is the one which I would go as the optimum thing. But things which are very important, less than 4, is water, very vital for the body. You have glucose, you have amino acids, and you have all the other ingredients, electrolytes, sodium, potassium, calcium, which are essential for the body, and they need to be reabsorbed again, and that is what it is called, reabsorption, as the second process, which literally takes quite a lot of things reabsorbed again. But then you also have waste products which are produced in the body, which are more than 4 or 8 micron size, cannot go through with a natural process, a higher concentration, lower concentration, with a passive process, has to be thrown out with the help of a force, which is ATP. And that what happens in ultrafiltrate when it comes to distal proximal convoluted tube or distal convoluted tube to process the whole thing. And then those things are excreted, and then ultrafiltrate is converted into urine with a highly concentrated and comes out, and at that stage you can say ultrafiltrate minus reabsorption plus secretion is equivalent to excretion. I think I've already shown that picture. It's just to revise. This is happening as the first step of ultrafiltrate in glomerulus 1. Counter current mechanism, as I've shown this picture again, you have filtrate entering the descending limb become progressively more concentrated as it loses water. The yellow loop outside is the descending loop of Henle, bottom part, and the ascending loop. Within that you can see blood in the vasa recta removes water leaving the loop of Henle. You can see, if you see the indicator, the one which is close to the descending one is ascending up. That's why it's counter current. One is one direction, another is opposite direction. As a result, it is called counter current. But in the descending thing, what you see, urine which is coming in is 300 milliosmos. I have explained earlier also, osmolarity of urine is 300, primarily because of sodium and of course other elements. But first thing which comes out from milliosmos of 300 as we proceed is the water. When more and more water leaves the ultrafiltrate, you can see going down, concentration of milliosmos is increasing from 300 to 600, 600 to 900, and it can go up to 1200 milliosmos, which means highly concentrated urine is there at particular stage because water has come out at the first element in the descending tract. But as the water goes up into that, you can see in the vasa recta, at the bottom part there are 1200 milliosmos. But when it starts ascending, it starts reducing from 1000 to 900, 600, 500, 400, 300, and then goes back into the pericapillary system. On the ascending side of loop of Henle, you can find there are few things which are taking place. Water is going inside, is going up. When more water is reabsorbed, the concentration is coming down from 1200 to 900, 600, and finally 100 milliosmoles. That means literally sodium chloride and potassium are reabsorbed into the descending part of the vasa recta, which was 300 becomes 500, 600, 900, 1000, and then slowly start reducing and become 300 and 300 on either side. So vasa recta maintain 300 to 300 at the end. In between, you can see the changes, which is opposite of what you see in loop of Henle. And this concentration difference in the opposing direction is what is called counter current mechanism. So I'm sure you are able to understand counter current mechanism is the one which goes against each other to make sure from descending tract first water is reabsorbed, concentration becomes urine very high, then water goes inside and sodium and potassium come out. And this is very specific. The process retains is for sodium chloride, potassium and water, and that is what I have explained in the last one is responsible because of estrostenoid. To maintain blood pressure to the normal, angiotensinogen is produced by the liver, and then renin is produced when blood pressure comes down, and it converts angiotensinogen into angiotensinogen 1, and then it gets converted into 2, and then goes to adrenal gland, the first layer, to produce mineralocorticoid called aldosterone for reabsorption of water and sodium chloride and expulsion of potassium elements. So this particular process centers around angiotensinogen, renin, aldosterone 1 and aldosterone combination. I'm sure you can see the beauty of that particular process in this, and let's concentrate that what was normal 300 has become hypotonic in this particular process of counter current mechanism. So I'm sure you have understood the beauty of this with respect to renin, angiotensin, aldosterone combination of liver, kidneys, adrenal gland to maintain blood pressure from lower concentration and increase to the normal concentration by this particular process. So this countercurrent mechanism by and large is to establish blood pressure to the normal size. I'm sure everybody understands the importance is on maintaining blood pressure, blood volume, cardiac output and blood pressure 120/74 and maintaining other biophysical parameters to maintain a perfect physical, emotional, mental and spiritual health of the individual. I think you should have no doubt with respect to this particular picture. Now let's move on to the next. In this particular picture, you can see you have this concentration of vasa recta put together. But more than that, there is another thing which has been added in the process is urea in the concentration. As I told you, you have glomerular filtration rate, and osmolarity of 300 of plasma and urine is maintained. Then it goes down to 1200 and then it lifts up to 100 in the process. And in the process you find that urea is being absorbed, water is also absorbed. But as you go into the collecting duct, I'm not talking about counter current mechanism as such. You can see urea again plays an important role. And to maintain the unit inflation of urea and water is more important. But at this particular juncture, there is another hormone which plays very important role in countercurrent mechanism as well as countercurrent exchanger as well as whole glomerular filtration to the concentration. The water is one, sodium chloride is another, expulsion of potassium, throwing of the urea and maintain acid-base balance, and one hormone which plays very important roles. Guess what is that? That is called ADH, antidiuretic hormone. Antidiuretic hormone is also called vasopressin. Let's see in the next slide and explain where it is produced, where it is stored, how it's released, and what kind of thing it can do. But in between, let me also tell you, I have already explained loop of Henle, the cortical medulla. You have this particular picture. Water is reabsorbed, sodium chloride is expelled. Right on the sex, you see a collecting tubule which is independent of countercurrent mechanism of vasa recta. And this can take place in cortical as well as this avenues again. In the collecting tubule, first thing which has come out is water. As a result, concentration becomes 100 milliosmoles from 1200. And this particular absorption of 1200 to 1000 to 900, 800, as you can see in the bottom part, is facilitated with the help of ADH. And that is what I meant, ADH, antidiuretic hormone. Anti means opposite, diuretic means produces more urine, hormone. It's also called vasopressin. It is produced by hypothalamus. Right at the bottom you can see active sodium chloride absorption, you can see. Then you have passive sodium chloride absorption. You also see water absorption with ADH, and you can also see water absorption without ADH. If all that is understood very clearly, now you see in vasa recta, the constant absorption of water is without ADH. Whereas in collecting duct, absorption of water is not against with it, but with the help of ADH only to maintain blood pressure. If this thing is understood, okay, what is produced in the liver, kidneys, adrenal gland is one part, but another hormone by hypothalamus called ADH is playing important role in reabsorption of water from collecting tubules. Very clear, collecting tubules, not from ascending, descending, proximal or convoluted vasa recta at all. As you come to the procedure. Now let me take you to the next stage of hypothalamus and of course Vigyan chakra are the hypothalamus. You can see right on top. You have Sahasrara chakra, you have Vigyan chakra, you have Vigyan chakra and Pragyan chakra. The hypothalamus is shown the picture in the middle. That's where it is located. And that produces ADH, antidiuretic or vasopressin hormone, which moves from hypothalamus to the posterior pituitary called neurohypophysis. It is not endocrine gland as such like adrenal gland. It is a neurohypophysis. This is a neurohypo particular potential it has got of hormone. And it is stored there. And it is released whenever the water comes on quite a lot and you need to reabsorb water from kidneys, you got to cut short on expulsion of too much of urine. That's why when there is a deficiency, adrenal, also all called vasopressin, people will be passing a lot of urine which is not tasty. It's called vasopressin. It has no taste, but excessive going, just like a water. That means ADH is less. When more water goes on, you are likely to experience low blood pressure again. And this particular process plays very important from higher concentration to the lower concentration. As I told you, in the process of aldosterone, renal, aldosterone, to aldosterone, that is from lower concentration of blood pressure to the higher concentration. But ADH plays a role that it should high will not become too high. To maintain that reabsorption, it's the opposite of this. So there are two work in opposite directions at different stages. One from lower concentration to the higher concentration. Another is to avoid higher concentration, ADH comes to play. So now you can really understand how beautiful is the system designed that kidneys, with the help of liver, hypothalamus and adrenal gland, with a sympathetic, parasympathetic system, can help understand even what is the amount of water in the body, what are the elements, what to be expelled, what not to be expelled, and how it is to be maintained. Both direction, increased as the reduction, can be automatically done by the. Now I'm sure the kidneys are so intelligent that pressure aspect of low is maintained in proximal convolutive next to Brahmin capsule itself, are where glomerulus takes place. That glands which produce renin and also erythropoietin, but ADH from that works under collecting tubules. So I think now difference is very clear. Hypo to normal is aldosterone, and high should not become too high. It should remain down. Is done by ADH or vasopressin. That's why it's called vasopressin. Maintains the pressure of the vessels by and large. And now this is the picture which you can see the anterior and posterior. We'll not talk about anterior as such because that is adrenal gland with the other hormones. But posterior is the one which produces oxytocin and ADH, which is vasopressin hormone. And this is connected with Ajna Chakra or this. So I think the design of understanding Ajna Chakra, Vigyan Chakra and higher chakra is important for us to realize that we need to keep them as perfect as possible so that we can be perfectly healthy, wealthy, wise and happy. So having explained, complete the whole process of absorption of water on all the vital elements, all the waste products, maintain the blood pressure, maintain the blood volume, maintain the cardiac output, maintain the oxygen consumption, A to Z. I think we have done a pretty good, clear job how the system works with the help of Divyank by and large. Having explained that, I think let's move on to next, which is the old one. Let's not talk too much. We have spoken quite a lot and we will continue to speak as we proceed further. Thank you very